I don't think you should jump on some fad that you think is going to make you a bunch of money.
Meet Craig Crile, co-founder of Group C, a digital marketing company based in Des Moines, Iowa. Craig took his career in traditional media buying and started a company with his wife, helping clients at a deeper level.
Think about the stuff you don't want to think about. Take some time, organize it, document like what you might do to solve for that.
Hear how Craig and his wife have grown their book of business to work with larger companies all over the state and the country, including car dealerships, marketing agencies, and even people that you know, just like Fareway Meat and Grocery. Craig shares tactical information he's gotten from meetings with publishing services like Disney, how he's run a business with his spouse effectively, how he quickly built a client base from being a vendor partner for others in the industry, and some of the biggest lessons he's learned along the way in his business.
Just having the right people in the room is more important than having like experienced or qualified people. You can be not qualified and a really good fit and mesh well with the team and get along okay.
I'm super excited to jump in this episode with you guys. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? My name is Ryan Snod, It Rhymes with Odd, and you're listening and watching the Rhymes with Odd podcast, the business podcast for the people in the state of Iowa. Today, we're jumping back in the booth with another amazing guest. We got Craig in the house. Craig, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
I think it's going to be a fun conversation today. You run a marketing company, and we'll talk about like the paid ad space, kind of how you built your business. Just really excited about the conversation and kind of reconnecting with you today. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you bet.
So Craig and I have known each other for 9 years. We worked together when I was at Applied Art, when we were doing some Fareway ad buys and things with Renee and some other people. So it's been kind of cool to see your business grow and get into other things and kind of touch in with you then and then touching with you now. So
yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on.
Perfect. Okay, so for people that don't know who you are, I always say if you jumped in an Uber with a chatty driver and you had a 45-minute drive somewhere, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, I run Group C Digital, which is a digital marketing agency. My business partner, Bethany, and I run the business. There's like 7 of us, and we work on paid digital strategy, execution, optimization, measurement for lots of different types of business. One of those is Fareway, of course. But we work with agencies and brands just to help them achieve results.
Sure. Well, it sounds like these mediums are evolving constantly, which we'll talk about as AI has changed and traditional media continues to change with OTT and some of these other platforms. But I think it is really interesting because a lot of people think marketing, they always assume social media, where there's all these other platforms that are kind of having a renaissance where bad creative or bad placement or messaging's not clear. It's like there's a really big opportunity to win if you can get the right message in front of the right people. So
for sure, it's a big internet, right? And we spend a lot of time on it and a lot of time on lots of different screens. And so measuring that becomes a challenge. Placing that media becomes a challenge. And just tying it all together is really where we spend most of our time.
Sure. So in your roles with you and your wife and the other people in the company, what are kind of your spheres that you work on? Is it more operations, business development? Like where are you kind of spending most of your time daily?
Well, I'm spending a lot of my time both in the business and on the business. So a lot of mentors that I've had have encouraged me to work more on the business and less in the business, but it's hard to get away from. The team is 7. There's like 5 of us on the media team. So are, more strategy based. I get more involved on the strategy side and in reporting meetings and pitches. Bethany, my partner, she works more on the books and a lot of the operations stuff and a lot of the critical stuff that keeps us running every day, making sure our paychecks are signed and processes are documented and that sort of thing. And that's how she's organized and what she's good at. And then we've got some accounting people. So
sure. No, I love that. How long have you had the business? Is it like last 10 years, 5 years? What's kind of your timeline?
We started in 2017. So we had my 8-year-old was not born yet. So about that long. He's 8 now.
Sure. That's how you kind of keep track of how long the things have been going.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. So take me back to kind of like your childhood. Where'd you grow up and what was kind of your childhood like?
Muscatine, Iowa.
Okay.
Eastern Iowa, River Rat.
The only thing I know about that, we played baseball there.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Kent Stein Park.
How do I describe this? So the outfield has wooden walls.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to describe this like politely, but the outfield grass smelled like semen. I don't know how to just like. It was really gross and weird.
Muscatine smells bad.
It
like,
smells gross.
It smells pretty bad. There's a lot of like corn processing stuff and muscatine. Like, I don't know.
Because I was playing outfield and I looked over at my buddy.
And
like,
that
what is that smell? And he
field,
literally was like, it smells like that. I'm like, what? That's true.
That ball field is just like down by all that industrial stuff. And
Yeah.
so it's probably just like chemical waste and like toxins.
Sure. We probably were starting to start growing fins or having third eyes pop out of our foreheads or something. But
maybe just cancer.
Yeah, maybe some cancer.
That's it.
Yeah. So sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah. Muscatine, I don't know, pretty typical smallish town, big high school for the town size. So I ran track, cross country, did some swimming. I don't know, normal stuff.
Were you involved in like would be like something industry specific, like yearbook or publication or something?
No,
nothing like that. Was
none of that.
any of this stuff
like,
even on your
I was
radar?
like class president, vice president, maybe.
Okay.
Like, but no, none of this stuff. I
Sure.
thought I wanted to be a stockbroker. My
Oh.
favorite movie, like in high school, was Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Still kind of funny.
Sure. Like these guys yell at screens and make a bunch of money.
That's
and
awesome. Sounds great.
Seems exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you grew up in Muscatine. Any siblings?
Yes, one brother,
Okay.
3 years older than me.
Were you guys pretty close or at each other's throats most
Ish.
of the time?
No, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. We don't talk a ton, but we're not super close still.
Sure.
But he's in like Chicago. So
Oh, okay. Not too far away. That's good.
no.
Okay, so you're growing up in Muscatine. What did you go to college for this? What was kind of your education background as you went up through?
I went to Wartburg College up in Waverly.
Okay.
Marketing, business. So yes, this is what I went to college for. This is what I was going to do. Start an agency. That's what I always thought. I worked at a little agency out of college. I went to work for some media companies after that. And then this just kind of came along, right time, right place. So
Sure.
we took a jump.
So when you were looking in college, you said you were kind of interested in this industry. What even made you aware that this was an existing thing, like media buying and that whole world? What was that like?
I think I was more interested in the marketing and advertising aspects of it, and just the ideas and like taking ideas to people and, helping them execute those visions or executing those visions. So that's more what I was involved in. I think the digital side of this didn't come along until I was at Sinclair Broadcast Group. And I remember we were like selling text messages, right? SMS was just a thing. And like they were having us go out and sell, like sponsored text messages from the text club at the station or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, there's got to be better ways to do this. This isn't how people want to do this. And I remember vividly like making the first digital rate card for KDSM. Like they didn't have rates around any of it. They're like, we don't know what to do with the weather sponsorship. What do you think we can get for it? Like, I don't know, $500. So we went and did that. And then it kind of grew from there. Gannett was a lot more sophisticated though.
Sure. So your first role out of college, was it more on the ad sales side?
Yes, I was like ad copywriter. Like I wrote cheesy car dealer commercials for
Nice.
like
Sunday.
That's exactly right. Hammer strikes.
Yeah.
And, stuff like that.
It's truck month.
Yes.
Same as last month and next month.
Trucktober was always a big deal.
Hey, that's
in
nice.
October.
The sales are so spooky.
Yes, it was all that.
That's
It's
awesome.
like $99 down. And that was, it was back when we did a lot of radio ads.
Sure.
A lot of radio ads. I was still I ran paid search campaigns back in this was 2006. So Google Ads was not like it was now. So I remember running campaigns for dealers down in Georgia and Atlanta, and I don't know, they didn't know what they were getting out of it. Like we didn't have normalized reports or anything. It was
Right.
just kind of we're sales good, we're sales bad, which is kind of all you need anymore anyway. So it's that's still the litmus test. Are
Sure.
you doing well? Are you not doing well?
Well, I think that's the biggest, I wouldn't say gripe, but probably barrier to entry for traditional media, right? Is
Mhm.
how do we prove the ROI with a billboard or a TV ad or radio ad? It's
Yeah.
so what are some of the conversations that you guys had with businesses? And then also how has the technology and the tracking changed over the last decade that make it a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more trackable?
Yeah, I mean, traditional media is still kind of hard to track. Back then we would just ask about flight dates. We had sales these weekends. What happened? The mail dropped at this time. Did you get a lot of people coming in with the mailer or whatever? You'd have tracking numbers, whatever, phone numbers, because everybody called you. And that was different from the one than in the phone book, of course, because they still advertised in the yellow pages. And now it's kind of the same stuff. Like tracking numbers are still a thing. They're just like in our Google ad campaigns, right? And we record those calls, and I can match that phone number back to like their CRM system because they're more sophisticated too, right? Mm-hmm. And they can tell me that Joe Smith bought a truck worth $50,000, and I can tell him that he called off this Google ad and he searched this keyword and it was this time and this day or whatever. Sure. So that's how we do attribution. Now it gets a little hairier when you're running streaming TV still. And you got to use a cross-device graph and look at people connected to the Wi-Fi router in the home. And did I do a mobile phone? And did the mobile phone come into my dealership, essentially? Mm-hmm. We don't work with a lot of car dealers, but it's a good example.
Now that's some spooky data there.
Spooky data.
I like that. Uh-huh. I don't think people realize, I think they do, but they probably don't like to think about it, how much data people and advertisers have on us.
So much.
Because I just feel like, Facebook and Apple are at each other's throats now because of this whole asking apps not to track data. And it's like Apple's middle finger to the face of Zuck. It's like, holy cow. I'm sure that's had to be a struggle for you guys with the ad placement side.
It really hasn't. That hasn't really impacted it. One, I think a lot of, we work with a lot of small businesses. They're not asking those questions. And we're already, we're preemptively planning around that. We are, figuring out how to get paid sponsorships on Apple Business Connect or, just because somebody has an iPhone doesn't mean they're not going to see your ad, essentially. And there's other ways to get it in front of them, like advertising on podcasts. That's another thing that you can do.
Looking for sponsors if you guys want. Yeah. But no, I think it's all cohesive. It's all connected, but it is kind of also creepy. Like you said, if you can ping their Wi-Fi to their mobile device, see that they came into a geo-fenced area or the dealership or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's worth the tracking because like you said, somebody buys a new $80,000 truck. It's huge ROI. It's well worth the couple bucks and the cost per view you had to do to get it in front of them or whatever.
For sure.
How has OTT played into some of this? Because I've talked with other ad buyers that just exclusively focus on OTT, and it's kind of having this renaissance from what I've been told of the streaming services because there's so much inventory. I don't know if anybody's watched oh gosh, what is it? Tubi or, Crackle or some of these other ones. Sometimes I get coerced on my Vizio smart TV. It'll have an ad for a movie I haven't seen for a long time. It's free. I'm like, I'll watch it. And then I get the same Teresa Greenfield for Senator ad 6 times in a row, the same 30-second spot. And I'm like, it's getting a lot more sophisticated where there's so much ad inventory. They're charging a lot less for those because they just need variety. What's been your experience with OTT so far?
Oh my goodness. There's so much to say there. So I was just recently talking to the guys at Disney's programmatic team about this very thing, right?
So Disney Plus, the streaming services? Okay.
Yeah. So we were in New York at Ad Week, and I had met with them previously. Bethany and I went out to their headquarters with one of our demand side platforms to talk about inventory integrations or whatever, some nerdy stuff. And then I met up with them for some drinks at Ad Week, and they're like, we do have a lot of demand on the streaming side, but our corporate people are saying we're not going to release more linear inventory to you because they just don't see enough demand at the national or global scale. So, they're not feeling it at the publisher level the same way that these free apps that get installed on your TV are seeing it, right? Because people are going to watch what's free sometimes. Just when they're trying to kill time or whatever. And that's where you see that abundance of inventory. But the main apps that you'd pay for, like Disney Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of these people are trying to figure out the right balance between subscription and where they insert ads and how they allow people to not see ads. And so that's really where we try to battle. It's the HBO Max and the premium stuff, Paramount Plus, whatever. So we have conversations with all those publishers regularly about how we can broker deals for next year, or how we can buy app inventory in advance, or what tentpole events college football playoffs or whatever is going to be on that we want to secure inventory specifically in Iowa for our advertisers, or how we can buy that automatically. So it has evolved a ton. I will say there's a lot of garbage out there, right? And so even just because you serve an impression doesn't mean somebody's watching anymore.
Sure.
I think there is some fraud for sure of some of these apps that say that they're playing impressions, but I don't think they're really playing impressions. Or they're like mobile devices that are categorizing themselves as large screen devices, or something funny is going on because there's just not that many people in Des Moines that are watching TV that often, in my opinion. So
Sure.
we try to focus in on the premium stuff like you would a cable buy. It's just replace cable. Cable has very low penetration rates in Des Moines. So, and in the state of Iowa, just in general. I even saw one of the places I worked, Cedar Falls Utilities, early on drop their cable like they aren't providing cable to people anymore. And that was like a main staple of what they did, you know? So I'm sure they're just doing internet now, but it's it's very much been cannibalized by streaming services and on-demand stuff.
Sure. Well, and streaming's been obviously ultra convenient for everyone, myself included, and everybody else as a consumer, but it's really kind of taken the industry apart. You know, you talk about the movie industry itself, like most movie launches could bank on DVD sales saving a box office flop, but now no one buys freaking DVDs. So it's like, okay, if we don't like make all of our money back in the movie theater, like this movie was a complete failure. So it's interesting to see how it all plays out. I think, and I've talked about this many times with people on the show, of like, I think they're going to invent this new thing where they're going to have all the channels on one service for one flat fee, and they're going to reinvent cable again.
Yeah, no kidding.
So that'll be kind of interesting to see it all play out.
Okay,
so to jump back in your story, you're working kind of I would say the traditional media route, the Gannett's and Claire's and different things. Talk me through some of the roles that you had that kind of prepared you before you started your own company.
Yeah, I started out in sales. I moved up to like sales management, like mid-level management stuff. You know, being on leadership teams and like a publicly traded company is taxing for sure. I think just understanding how an organization like that goes about things, you learn a lot of what you don't want to do and how you don't want to treat people, I think, more than you learn about like, oh, this is good best practice. Like you see kind of norms, like industry norms, but that doesn't mean it's like the best way to do it, right?
Sure.
I think
what were some of those, like, I would say, negative aspects of a larger corporation that you wanted to make sure you left at the door?
I think just like restructuring all the time, moving sales targets, you know, focusing more on KPIs than you do individual well-being, or like having the right people in the room to provide a good working everyday life experience for people. I think there's definitely people in every organization that try for that. I just don't always think the rules are set up for them to do that very well.
Sure. Well, and I think just having that, like you said, putting people first, I think is a hard thing for a huge company, because you're a metric, you know. It's like you're not producing, you're worthless, get out. Or like, you know, maybe not that crass, but it's hard to have that people touch when you're such a huge organization like that.
It really is. And you know, being like a mid-level manager in that environment is hard. You got like two masters you're trying to serve at the same time. It's just really hard. You got to look out for your people, and you have to like make sure the people above you are also happy. And so you're always balancing. So that can be really hard and a struggle for sure.
Sure. So you mentioned sales roles, kind of management roles, that type of thing. What was like the very last role that you had before you decided you wanted to look into starting your own company?
I was like the automotive sales manager, director for Des Moines. So that was like calling on every car dealer. Like we had a team of people that were, you know, going into car dealerships, selling cars.com subscriptions, selling newspaper ads, selling digital products.
That's got to be hard, selling the salespeople.
Yes.
You walk in and you're like,
car
hey.
dealers, man.
And they're like, oh, I don't know where our manager is, but do you want that new F-150 out there?
Yeah, there was some of that went on for sure.
You're like, I bet I bought 3 new cars this month. We haven't sold a single freaking ad.
Yeah, you sometimes have to pick it up yourself. Yeah, that was difficult. I'd say, you know, there's just going to be a lot more restructuring. It felt like, as I mentioned, we had one on the way at that time. And I was like, that's not going to work for us being traveling all over or, whatever is going to come down the pike. So let's just give this a shot.
Did you feel like, knowing that baby, because this is your first child, right? So second child. So did you feel like that was a big motivator for you to make the jump? Because it's like, oh, once this baby comes, it's going to be harder for us to make a big change with a newborn and another, that type of thing?
Yeah, there was definitely some of that. I think a lot of it was, you've got a window of time where you got some paid like maternity leave that Bethany was on. So it's like, I can help more with this too. If I've got a little flexibility here. So luckily, like as I made that move, Bethany was super supportive, and we had one client that reached out like right away and said, "Hey, will you help me with X, Y, and Z?" And that turned into, a sizable piece of our business and kept us afloat for that first year for sure. And then some. So.
Sure. What was your biggest fear or worry about doing this thing? Because you weren't like an entrepreneur by like you see some of these type A entrepreneurs that like gambling, driving 150 miles an hour, like risk doesn't bother them. What was that like for you to be like, man, we've got, another child coming. We, both of us are going to go do this. What was that risk factor like for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure there. I don't know. The biggest worry was that we'd just fail and I'd have to go get another job. And that would be fine. Like at the end of the day, like if you just support each other well, like as a couple, you can make it through whatever, as long as you communicate well. And I had a very supportive partner. So
sure. Well, I think even just having that combination helps, because then you know exactly what the other's going through. Where if one of you were starting a business and the other one was being the stable one, it's kind of like, oh, well, you better make this work or whatever,
Yeah.
Trying to find that combination's got to
Well,
be
it
difficult.
helps that she had health insurance too. So
Okay.
that was good.
Sure. Because did she come on with you right away in the beginning, or did you just start it by yourself?
No, I started by myself and then she came on like a year later.
Okay. Just so much fun that she couldn't keep her way, or
I think she also,
we need someone to help.
I think yes. I mean, one, it was like out of a need I was doing all the invoicing from like spreadsheets that I was just creating. And she's like, this isn't how you do this. I'm like, yeah. And we didn't have a very good tax person, like accounting person. And she's like, I need to step in here. Like, this is a mess. She even got us like signed up for Dropbox, which I didn't have. I was just like, it's like, oh, I didn't know how I did this without the cloud. So that was helpful. So there's just a lot of process stuff that she brought to the table. And also Bethany was, I'd say just like a calming presence in all of it. Like, when you're in sales, it's high, low, high, low, high, low. And she was very like, this is how the business is going to work. There's going to be ups and downs sort of thing.
So you mentioned this first year, you had your first client. What was kind of your approach to sales, growing the business early on? Because I feel like there's a lot of people listening that might be like struggling to find clients. I know I'd meet with friends from high school or college that hadn't seen me for a while, and they find out like I'm doing my business and whatever. First question they always ask, how are you finding clients? Who do you work with? How'd you even, people that don't understand how that works. What was your first year like with that, kind of just jumping off and being like, okay, we need to go find something and kill it and drag it home,
Yeah. I mean, some of it was me just calling down lists of people that I knew. Right. And we still have our first client, Hertz Farm Management.
Okay.
They advertised in the classifieds at the register. And I just remember them advertising all the time, and like called Randy, who coincidentally like went to college with my father-in-law. I don't think they knew each other. They were just there at the same time.
That's all you need, that one little connection point.
And so, we built a good relationship. We still work with them. And, it's a little bit of that. And our model's a little different. We work with a lot of small agencies. So I just knew a lot of people in the media space that had gone out on their own. And I think you just got to stick to what you're good at and what you know. And I knew a lot about digital. I had known a lot about digital. They didn't know anything about digital. And so they were like, oh, yeah, we should probably have you on the team. How should we work together? How do you want to structure it? And then they really did a lot of the prospecting and still do. Like the agencies we work with mostly bring us all the leads that we can handle. And then we just keep hiring people to fulfill those needs. I mean, that's really where all of our growth has come from. I'd say like 5% of it has been me networking and reaching out to people. And when I do, it's usually like a harebrained scheme that isn't going to work.
Sure. Well, hey, podcast guesting, this could be your thing
Yeah,
this
this
year.
could be my thing.
The one thing you do this year to promote. I love it. No, I think this is a really profound piece, though, because so many people think you have to go earn every sale and find every client and be selling all the time. And people that don't have an interest in that or a skill set, they're like, God, why would I ever do it? What is that relationship like, Ben, where you find 2 or 3 key vendors that keep bringing you work? Because that's got to be a great relationship, you know?
Yeah, and it was. I mean, most of them are people I worked with in the past. Renee Albaugh at Next Step Advertising. You know, we worked at Sinclair together. So we both sold TV spots. And so, you know, it's stuff like that. And it's never burning any bridge in a small town. I mean, this is a small town, as small as it gets. They're all small towns, though. So you just, like, you got to remember you can call somebody that you knew 5 years ago and they'll probably be happy to hear from you. Like, you don't have to think that they're like going to be like, why haven't you called me? Like, just call them and just see, like, go out for coffee, connect, see what's going on. Strategic alliances is, I mean, I think everybody's better together. So
sure. No, I love that. And I think it's a really profound piece to can't really be understated as just the don't burn the bridges, do good work, and keep building that network of people. Like, if you switch jobs, switch roles, switch employers, stay connected with everybody, you know. I think it's a huge piece there. What do you feel like in the first year to 3 years, what do you feel like was the biggest barrier you guys had to overcome in terms of new clients, fulfillment, people issues, HR stuff, systems? What was kind of the biggest thing that you had as a barrier for you guys?
Probably fulfillment, I would say. There's just one of me doing it, right? And so that's a lot of staying up till midnight doing stuff. Fulfillment's always that's always the trick. Doing what you said you were going to do, right? And remembering what you said you were going to do and then doing it well. That's a barrier for sure. I don't know that we had a lot of other barriers. Like, I think if you, in any space, like if you can line up, you know, the people that are going to provide the services to you and you know how they work really well, then I think you can pretty much put a process around it and organize it well.
Sure.
But that was just my specific experience.
So you went from just you to now there's 7 employees, right? All full-time, like in-house employees? Or do you use
One of them's
contractors?
part-time. Okay. And we've got a few contractors outside of that number. And then we use managed services with our programmatic partners. So there's probably a team of like 10 to 15 at those platforms that work on our stuff. So it takes a village for sure. So we've got a mix. I don't like to put too many of my eggs in one basket. Like, I think, you know, Bethany and I look at it and we say, you know, now's the right time to add another person for backup, or so this person can go on vacation. But when we add an employee, it's more for just like balance purposes. It's never for, we're behind so far in this one thing that we can't get out of this hole. So
sure. What has been kind of your experience staying versed in all the different various platforms? Because most people, if they specialize, like you said, you're selling digital ads and you're trying to find any client and being like, hey, this solution's for your business. What's it been like for you having kind of a fleet of options where it's like, we have kind of different solutions depending on where your market is, what your size of your business is, where this is, like, what has that been like for you to have kind of an inventory that they can select from?
Yeah, I mean, it's helpful to have an inventory they can select from. It's also confusing sometimes. You don't remember, you know, who's got which capabilities sometimes. At least I don't. So you ask a lot of good questions to the client. You find out specifically what they want, and you go out and source that. I mean, that's really how we've built it and how we continue to do it. You know, it's great from a client perspective to be having somebody across the table say, yeah, I can go do that. I'll figure that out. And it's all kind of the same stuff, honestly. Like, I don't want to oversimplify it, but all these platforms are kind of the same. Like, they probably have some back end stuff that's different here and there, but it really is the strategy that's driving everything. And creative plays a big role in this. If you're not known and you're not liked as a brand, then it's going to take a lot to get people to engage with you. So you got to have really good creative, really good strategy. And all these platforms they're going to reach people on screens at the end of the day, whether that's an outdoor screen or a TV screen or a mobile device or whatever that is.
Sure. When and obviously being in the creative world, my whole thought goes to like, what are they actually seeing on the screen? Because you can pay for the placement, and have terrible advertisement that's not scripted well, that's shot terribly, that doesn't communicate anything well, and it does the opposite effect. It's like, well, crap, I'm not going to hire that company to help, do whatever or buy that product because that TV spot was terrible.
Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, I think it definitely plays a piece in there. We kind of talked a little bit about working with your wife and kind of helping grow the business. What's been like the biggest blessing of that, but then also the biggest like hardship or thing that you guys have had to overcome together?
It's just we set aside a time every month to do like a partnership meeting, like just go out to lunch and like catch up on the work list of stuff. So we're not constantly talking about it 24 hours a day because that would get old. There's enough stuff to talk about outside work anyway.
Because you guys probably like eat dinner, sit down. It's not like, how was your day? It's like, I know how your day was. Like, what's happening with this account?
What's happening here?
You just go right into
Where's
a meeting.
this accounts payable process at? Like who owes us money? So yeah, we try not to do that and try to focus on the kids and what they're doing. So, it's a blessing to have all that communication. I think, it could be a curse for some people. It hasn't been for me. So we just try to separate that when we can. And we're okay coming in and out of like, hey, I'm thinking about this, can we get on this tomorrow?
Let's make a note.
This isn't a right now thing, but I'd like to talk to you about this tomorrow. Like this is really going to be a problem, I think. Or this person requested time off and I'm also off. Like, is that going to work? I'm like, I don't know. We got to check the calendar.
Yeah, let's talk about this when the sun's up. No, I love that. Because I think it is a big piece. We've had people on that are second generation family business owners or own something with their family, their mother, their wife, whatever it is. And it's always different. And I always meet people that are in those situations that most people think, oh, I would never do that. And it's like some people it works really well. Like it just it naturally flows really well.
We don't work on the same stuff. So I think that's helpful. So
Sure.
she's on a very different area than I am. But you could ask her, man, she'd probably have a different answer. I don't know.
Sure. Another piece that I wanted to kind of talk about, obviously we talk about AI a lot with people and it's a really buzzy thing right now. Not to just go into like what a conference keynote would talk about, what's the AI's impact on marketing, but how have you guys seen some of the practical approaches to some of this technology in your day-to-day, whether it's like work or workplace processes or even like the ad buying itself? Like are there systems and AI processes that can help make that more efficient for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of companies that spend a lot of money on this. Google's one of them, right? And Microsoft. So we try to lean into those platforms and let their tools do their thing when we can. Google's Performance Max is one of those things that uses AI to whatever it does. I just know it gives us a good cost per lead, so we'll use it, right? As far as like workflows and stuff, we're starting to get into some of that. Right now, I hear most people are like writing emails really well with it, so that's cool.
Sure.
I don't know beyond that for us. Like, there's a lot of kind of campaign data that we put into it to check over and summarize and analyze trends here and there. But it's not like, driving a lot of decisions or strategy that we're putting together. But there's times where it's like busy work, match up these zip codes with these DMAs or whatever. I mean, normal. I think it's probably normally how people use it. But I haven't seen it revolutionize anything we're doing outside of what those ad platforms are investing in, right? And they might have already been doing that stuff, and now we're calling it AI. I have no idea. Like, I don't know how much AI is driving those processes or like the engine, or it's just like eliminating some of the busy task work that was being done. So like do some cost savings. Like, I don't know. They're not going to share.
Sure. Well, a lot of people say AI, but it's really just like a software. That it's not.
That's right.
It's the wrong term. They're just saying it's a technology thing.
There's a difference between machine learning and AI.
Right.
And those are two different things. And like, people use them interchangeably. I don't know if anybody even knows what either one means really when they say it. And I don't think that a lot of the AI engineers could tell you how they come up with the answers that they do. All I know is local businesses need to get in front of showing up in AI summaries, right?
Yes.
And I think that's like a conversation we have a lot with people, is just how do we do that and make sure you're there. And so we help them where we can.
That's awesome. What's been one of the most memorable clients or campaigns you've worked on where you've either gotten to travel somewhere cool or work with a huge recognizable brand?
I'm going to the Dan Patrick show in a couple weeks.
Okay.
That's gonna be pretty cool. I haven't done it yet, but that's exciting. So Fareway's, a brand that we work on behalf of another agency, and it's been exciting seeing them grow and change and evolve. And I won't get into too many specifics, but I'd say that's been pretty impactful. We've done a lot of different and unique things, and they've allowed us to kind of test some things out. And I think they've added a lot of stores. Coincidentally, I don't think it's for anything that we've done. I think they just decided they're going to have a bigger footprint, and that's what they're doing, separate from the marketing success or not success that they've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody buys groceries at the end of the day. And so that's an easy category to kind of say, hey, we want to make sure people are aware of our price points, and then they'll make their own decisions about where they buy. But we like shopping there. I can say that I really prefer Fareway over every other grocery store.
There you go. They've paid enough of your bills. You can
That's
go
right.
get a couple groceries.
That's
there.
right. So that's been fun and exciting. I think, going to conferences like Adweek and things like that have been cool, but having conversations with, Google at their headquarters or, Disney at their headquarters, those are always interesting and like insightful conversations to get a peek into it. And honestly, just learn how normal everybody is, right? Like they're just regular people going to their jobs, and they don't have some magic solution here. They're just like representing this company, this big thing that a lot of people look at.
Yeah.
And so your ability as an average person to go and buy those things or be connected to those things is just as great as their ability to work there. Like they live in New York or whatever, but they're just, trying to get their coffee and go to work and do their stuff.
Sure. No, it's really interesting. And I think it's cool that you go direct to the source, because there's so much hearsay about different things. We've had some like YouTube influencers on that have millions of followers, and they have like a dedicated rep that they have a contact person with.
Mm-hmm.
They'll call them every week and say, hey, here's the new updates. Here's how we're changing the algorithm, because it's in their best interest to have their top performers know how to not rig the system, but
work it to their advantage.
Exactly. Yeah. They'll make the most money. The platforms will get the most exposure. They'll get new users. Everyone wins,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big piece of it. We'll take a break from our talk here for the lightning round. This is rapid fire questions we haven't briefed you on before. They're not crazy, like tell me the square root of pi to the 10th decimal or something crazy, but these will just be quick rapid fire ones, kind of break it up a little bit. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is the first app that you open in the morning on your phone?
New York Times.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you read like first thing in the morning or?
Just get headlines.
Okay.
Yeah, see what's going on.
I like it. The most underrated tool that every marketer should know about?
There's this Chrome extension called I don't know what it's called, Google Tag Assistant. Sees if your Google Analytics or Google Tag Manager is on the website, and it'll show all the tag managers and like all the analytics codes that are on your website. And that is a lifesaver. There's also, sorry, I've got two.
This is great. Have as many as you want.
There's also this website called freemapptools.com. You just plug in like a zip code and a radius, and it'll give you all the zip codes in a radius of your zip code and list them all in like a table format and on a map. And I use it, I don't know, twice a day.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. What is your favorite brand that's doing marketing really well right now that you see some of their stuff and you're like, gosh, I wish some of my clients would try some of these campaigns or do something that's kind of crazy or out of the box?
Fareway Meat and Grocery is doing excellent creative work.
Okay.
Outside of that, I don't know. I don't pay attention. I'm not like I think the Liberty Mutual ads are really effective because my kids sing the songs all the time.
Sure.
And they don't watch that much TV with commercials. So
sure. Well, and for being every other insurance company has had like a mascot or a spokesperson, and they've pretty much been ignored for years and years, and now they just Put a weird guy with a
weird guy with an emu
with
or
an
whatever.
emu,
I think that's them.
yeah.
They got a couple different versions.
It's Limu, Emu, and Doug. That's all I know. So,
yeah, man.
like
songs.
you said, it's brand affinity over time, and people that never knew about who they were, now they know who they are. So that it just proves that marketing works. That's great. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned since starting your company in terms of business, self-development, or just how to grow every day?
Just having the right people in the room is more important than having like experienced or qualified people, right? You can be not qualified and a really good fit and mesh well with the team and get along okay. Because most of this stuff's trainable, but you can't really teach that. So that's probably the biggest thing.
That's great. And then what is the most overhyped aspect of owning a business?
Tax write-offs, man.
Okay.
God, every TikTok video you see is like, own this LLC and write off this thing. And like, you still got to pay tax. Like, I get that you get to write it off. You still had to pay for it. You still have to pay for it.
I love it.
I never get that. It's funny.
Spend $1, save a quarter. Like, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So, no, I think you passed the gauntlet, by the way.
Okay,
Congratulations.
thank you.
I think it is a big piece that people overhype is tax write-offs. Like, oh, you won't pay any in taxes. Like, you can if you're going to defer things or whatever. But it's like the goal in business is to make a profit of some kind. Like that's right. And then you pay tax on the profit. That's how that works. So
that's how it works.
You'd think it would be more cut and dry.
I mean, unless you're like Elon Musk or whatever, and like you're valued at like have all this stock value, like then you're borrowing money and equity, and like it's a different ball game than like your own LLC. And I've got these 5 rental properties, and I'm just going to expense everything. Like that's dumb.
No, that makes total sense. As you were starting to grow the company, was there ever any point where you bit off more than you could chew? You mentioned it's been really slow calculated with the staffing. Was there any point where you had to like lay a bunch of people off? You got too big of a space? You were like, oh crap, we don't have too much space, or anything like that where you kind of like overreached yourself at all?
No, fortunately. Okay. I don't think I can think of a time. I've made mistakes for sure. One time I spent like $13,000 on this like power equipment place. It was supposed to be $13,000 over like 6 months, and I did it like $13,000 daily budget spend in Facebook because I just forgot to hit the lifetime button. So that was bad.
So they called you and they're like, the card's been expensive. Like we've spent.
Oh, it was my money.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It was my money.
Tell me you got some crazy sales from that.
They did. They had a really good month.
Okay.
And we, I did tell a little story to Facebook, and they gave me like half the money back, which was good. I said, I don't know what I said, but it was like right at the beginning of COVID. I remember they were giving out those economic impact grants or whatever, like the Iowa development.
Free money.
Yeah, they were giving out. It wasn't the one where you had to sign up. It was a grant. It wasn't the one you had to pay back. Anyway, that covered some of the costs, and I remember thinking, man, this was like lucky that we got this at this time. Like it's a wash, but
sure. No, that's crazy. So I think another piece of this would be interesting. We haven't talked too much about like your other hobbies, interests, that type of thing. If you weren't co-running this business with your wife, what do you think you'd be doing professionally?
Oh gosh, I'd probably be doing ad sales or marketing or something. It was some media company or advertising agency. I'm sure I'd be doing the same stuff. Like I can't really picture doing something different. Sure. Unfortunately, you
don't have like secret obsession of being like a horseback rider or a race car
driver.
None of that.
Nope. This is all I think about.
Okay, that's fine. That means you're doing what you're supposed to do. That's great. We talked about these partnerships earlier. How important is it for people listening to develop some of these industry partnerships that can refer them work, offload some of the execution of some of these things? How have partnerships impacted your business?
I mean, they're really the lifeblood of it. I think of folks like Leverage 4 that do like, I don't know, have you heard of them? McKinsey Eddy over there. They do like fractional CMOs or fractional CR, whatever. They kind of built a business out of this and like making connections and giving people like part-time work, essentially, like contract work on stuff. they came to us one time and were like, hey, can you also do this? Or can you also do this? And we in turn said, no, but we know this person that can. So I think it's just really important to keep those channels open and think outside the box. Like if somebody's asking for something, try to think, is there anybody I know that could help with this? And they'll probably in turn think of you down the line.
Sure. No, I love that. Well, and even in our case too, we even had a call from an agency out of Illinois that was doing a bid for a big government job and in 5 or 6 different services. One of them was video production, but they didn't have that in-house. And they called us and they said, hey, can you be that piece of this bid? Like we'll detail everything, which reminds me to email them later today after the show. But yeah, we can help, we can white label that piece or help you because we'd rather you guys win the bid and then we get to help with it. But like collaboration will win that out rather than, oh, it has to be a slam dunk. We already have the staff. We already have everything. Like obviously those partners are out there, but if we can bring a dream team together. But even in our case, like sometimes we'll have people reach out about, oh, do you guys do ad buying too, or paid ads or SEM, or do you do, billboards or traditional media buying? It's like, no, we don't, but we know people that do. We can refer them to you. So I think it's always just good to know partners, but also like know what you're good at.
Yeah.
And articulate it well. Like this is what we specialize in. And if you don't, like be okay with like sending it to somebody else,
Yeah, for sure.
It's a process all the time. Kind of wrapping it up here. We had a couple of questions for you. Number one being, what is like one strong piece of advice you would give your previous self, say like 10 years ago, or it would have been 8 years ago when you started the business, somewhere in that realm. What would be one piece of advice you'd give yourself right before you left your job to start this company?
Oh gosh. Think more about the process of what you're going to do and not just the idea and like exciting parts, and think more about the boring stuff. And I think that's really where I could have done a little bit better at the beginning. Because that boring stuff is really like the important stuff, at least boring to me, right? Everybody's boring is different, but think about the stuff you don't want to think about. Take some time, organize it, document like what you might do to solve for that. And then you'll be off to a better start, I think.
I love it. What's the plan for Group C 5-10 years from now? What's kind of your big picture vision for the company and how it all fits together?
Yeah. I mean, Bethany and I talk about this regularly. Like we don't have specific goals for the company other than to help our clients succeed. So if that means that we have a smaller client load, then we'll probably, have an easier time at that or be able to pay more attention to those clients. If that's a bigger client load, we'll have to solve for that. They're both challenges in their own right. So we just try to scale up and down as we need to. And I don't think you can be afraid of that. Like, I think that has to just be part of the deal. But, I think we're trying to be responsible with what that looks like, signing leases. And I know you're moving into a new space. And so you got to think through those things and like do some calculation. But we try to be conservative and say, it's a brave new world out there. Like you don't have to have butts in seats all the time. We prefer to have people in the office if we can. I think there's a lot of collaboration and a lot of norms that are learned just by having people sit next to each other. And that's not to say, we don't have some work from home and hybrid going on, but I think for the most part, people want to enjoy each other and have fun and do things they like doing. So as long as it's a good experience for them, like we try to set up the company in a way that gives them a good life balance experience. So
that's great. I know we kind of touched on it before. I just want to make sure we emphasize it before we wrap up. You mentioned there were some things in your industry that you were doing when you were in the industry before you started your company. And I think it's a really profound piece there. What advice would you have for somebody that wants to break into an industry that has like little experience? They haven't worked in the industry before. They want to go start their own thing. How much of an impact did that have for you to kind of work your way through the industry as an employee and be like, oh man, I could really, if I did it my way, I would do this, that, and the other and change it. What would that guidance would you have for somebody that's kind of new to an industry that has no experience in the industry?
That'd be hard. I'd advise them to get more experience. I don't know. You got to do something that you know really well. I think like you got to really know it. I don't think you should jump on some fad that you think is going to make you a bunch of money. Like, I think that's a bad idea. I mean, they might be lucky and they might be successful and they might be good at other things, processes within that industry. that could allow them to be really successful. But, I wouldn't go jump into Bitcoin right now. Like, I don't know anything about Bitcoin. Like, I might be good at sales, but I don't know. It'd be hard.
Like the damn blockchain. Or
That's
the
right.
cloud.
I don't know. Yeah.
How does any of this work? No, I love it. Craig, thanks so much for coming on the show. If people want to know more about you or your company, and they're looking for some ad buying services, where can they learn more about you?
groupcdigital.com, our website. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm very searchable, so you can find me wherever.
That's great.
Happy to have conversations.
No, I love it. Thanks so much for coming on the show. If you guys have made it this far, you guys know what to do. Make sure to subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Goal this year is to have 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So we're really trying to go for that. So if you listen regularly, make sure to hit subscribe. Check out Craig, and we'll put a bunch of links to his information that he just listed below in the show notes. And tune in next Monday for next week's episode. Until then, my name is Ryan Snod. It rhymes with odd, and I'm out. Peace. Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of the Rhymes with Odd podcast. We really do appreciate your support. If you could give us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes, that makes a world of difference, guys. Also, if you're tuning in on YouTube or Spotify, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss another episode, and check us out on social media. Also, if you'd like to inquire more about our services here at Snod Media Group or learn about doing your own podcast for your own business, you can find us at snodmedia.com. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.